McLaren's pre-season preparations have suffered a blow in Bahrain, with the team finding itself in a race against time to complete some vital work before the Formula 1 season begins. McLaren is the first big hitter to be hit by a sustained problem in testing, but as we'll explain in this video, it's far from the only team to have stumbled in Bahrain. And the honour of the most dramatic setback so far falls to Williams for a fire that melted its rear suspension and cost it more than half a day's running. After a trouble-free test at Barcelona, the MCL36 had a much more complicated second test at Sakir. McLaren has had to fly in upgraded parts to complete race simulations in the final F1 test after suffering brake cooling problems. Lando Norris has been limited to short runs at the second test in Bahrain because of problems with the front brakes. That has restricted McLaren to the lowest mileage count of any team this week, including Haas, which missed the first 4 hours of Thursday running. McLaren hopes that upgraded components will arrive in time to alleviate the problem and allow full race running to take place on Saturday, the last day of testing before next weekend's Bahrain Grand Prix. Team principal Andreas Seidel said, "This definitely did not go to plan. We unexpectedly have an issue on the front axle with the brakes, which we have to solve. It's a race against time at the moment in order to get upgraded parts here." Norris suggested after the opening day that the brake problems would not be an easy fix, but McLaren has at least tried to work around it. Modifications have been made on site to at least enable those shorter runs, which has let McLaren undertake some setup work and evaluate some car upgrades. The team hopes that by the end of the test it will be well prepared for next week's season opener, but that will depend on resolving the problem McLaren technical director James Key has admitted was unexpected. Key told the race's own Gary Anderson, "When you put a car out, you design around the worst case braking conditions, so there's something not quite correlating. We think we've identified possibly why, the reality of running on a track compared to what's in a computer, so we are adjusting for that. The reason it's stop-start is that we're having an issue with parts, which are getting a bit crispy. You can still run, but it just means that when you run out of parts you can't, so we're taking it a step at a time." McLaren's trouble seemed to mount on day 2 with a late on-track stoppage, but that at least didn't end its running early as Norris was able to get back out. The team suffered another setback on Friday evening when Daniel Ricciardo tested positive for COVID-19. The Australian felt unwell on Wednesday in Bahrain and skipped the first day of the test as a precaution, then failed to recover in time to drive on Friday. However, Ricciardo was starting to feel better, and McLaren initially said he had taken several COVID-19 tests that came back negative. But his positive test result means he will not drive at all during the second test, so he will go into next weekend's season opener with only his Barcelona running under his belt. Next up, we're going to look at Williams' dramatic day and the other teams having a tough time. But first, we wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who has subscribed to our channel already. We really appreciate all of the support you show our channel, and if you want to be part of our crew along with more than 800,000 others, feel free to hit that button anytime to keep up with everything we do. Williams was forced to call a premature end to its running on the second day in Bahrain as a result of Nicholas Latifi's fiery stoppage in the morning. After just 12 laps of running, Latifi's rear brakes caught fire as he exited the first corner. With smoke billowing from the back of his Williams, he eventually spun off at the turn 9-10 double left-hander. Fire and smoke poured out of the car until the marshals, assisted by Latifi, extinguished the flames. His car was returned to the pits, and while the team initially hoped it could repair the damage and return to the track in the afternoon, it confirmed its day was over with 2 hours of the afternoon session left. Latifi said, "I just tried to bring it back using as little brakes as possible, keeping the speed up, because when you stop, the fire is always going to get worse. I guess it must have melted through some part of the suspension, which broke it. Obviously, I couldn't bring it back and it caused me to spin." Williams has not communicated a specific cause of the original fire, but confirmed repairs are underway on the FW44 to get it back out on Saturday. Latifi was the slowest of the 10 drivers to set a lap in the morning session, but was really unable to undertake a proper flying lap before the incident. It's an unfortunate blot on Williams' testing copybook after a successful first week in Barcelona and a productive opening day in Bahrain where Alex Albon logged 104 laps. Williams' new signing Albon had an unfortunate view of Latifi's fire, as he had just started providing commentary for F1 TV's coverage of testing when it happened. Latifi and Albon are currently scheduled to split the driving on the final day of testing. Alfa Romeo and Haas came into the Bahrain test on the back foot after their first week in Spain was compromised by a variety of problems. This week is going better, but both teams have suffered further setbacks, with Haas particularly unlucky. Haas missed the first morning of the test on Thursday after a problem with the cargo plane that was originally scheduled to fly to the UK to pick up its cars and other equipment. The team's kit only arrived on Tuesday evening, 2 days after most other teams, and its test program was delayed as a result. It led Haas to request being allowed to run on Sunday instead, citing force majeure, but that was rejected. The teams that opposed were supposedly McLaren and Alpine, with the argument being that it could set a precedent for teams making less legitimate claims of force majeure to get extra testing days in the future. Instead, Haas was given permission to extend its Friday and Saturday tests. Haas is sharing its extra running between Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher. New signing Magnussen drove for an extra hour on Friday night, cheekily setting the fastest time while he had the track to himself, and he will start an hour earlier on Saturday. Schumacher will get extra track time on Saturday evening, when he will try to make up for yet more lost time on Friday because of an exhaust problem. As for Alfa Romeo, the team battled extreme porpoising and mechanical problems in Spain and could not solve the issues until the car was back at the factory. Its solutions led to a much improved showing on Thursday in Bahrain, where Valtteri Bottas managed more laps in half a day than he did in the entire Barcelona test. However, when the ex-Mercedes driver got back into the car on Friday morning, he was unable to build on that progress. First, he had a sudden technical problem that cut short an early run before a hydraulic leak caused him to stop on track before the lunch break. That meant Alfa Romeo missed out on a few runs in the morning, with some set-up tests and long-run work aborted. Bottas said, "It was a bit of a problematic day. We had an issue halfway through the morning that cost us a lot of time, a new technical problem that we hadn't seen before. And at the end of the day, we had a hydraulic leak, so we missed something." These teams have one more day of running on track to make up ground. A week from now, they'll be getting into the serious business of the first race weekend of the season, and nobody wants to go into the beginning of a new era of F1 on the back foot.